Last we left off, I was on a plane to Japan. I was assigned to teach at a private language center for adults in Fukuyama. After so many years of working in a corporate setting, I was wound too tight. So it took some getting used to becoming a friendly and relaxed teacher. But little by little, I began to relax, and along with that, I began to think about what was most important to me. While I didn't have all the answers, my vision for the future was slowly taking shape. I knew I wanted to stay in Japan for a while, continue traveling, and speak several languages. Not only did I enjoy Japan, but I loved teaching. I ended up staying in Japan for just under 3 years. I studied Japanese, practiced Sharengi Kempo, a martial art, and I finally learned how to ride a bike. As the bicycle is a big part of Japanese culture, there came a point when I had no choice but to learn with the help of some fellow English teachers. One of the great things about being an English teacher is teaching lessons privately to wealthy Japanese students as side work. Often you'd meet interesting people, your students, and sometimes you'd become friends. A few of my students would take me on excursions to places that your typical tourist wouldn't have access to. I learned a lot about Japanese culture. I found great joy there. In that time was able to visit a good chunk of the country, and I did most of my exploring as a solo traveler. I traveled alone without much thought. I knew I wanted to see as much of the country as possible, and often no one in my small circle was available. Recently, I've discovered that apparently there are a lot of people who are hesitant to travel alone. I didn't know that was a thing. I think traveling solo can be one of the most liberating experiences of your life. Sure, sometimes you may feel some loneliness, but I find that even if you're surrounded by people, it's still possible to feel a deep sense of loneliness if they are not your people. Also, as a single woman, I've found it easier to meet people on my own. I see a lot of articles now about solo travel, but I'm not sure you need tips. Choose somewhere that you have always wanted to visit, plan a short trip to start with, and do it. Back to my story. As I mentioned, I stayed in Japan for just under 3 years, but that wasn't the original plan. I had just completed a teaching contract, so I was free for a couple of months. I realized that I really enjoyed teaching English and wanted to continue, so I figured I should probably get legitimate training to be a real teacher. With the time off, I decided to take a TEFL course located in a sleepy fishing village near Koh Samui in Thailand. A TEFL, Teaching English as a Foreign Language course, is a 4-week course designed for native English speakers who have little to no teaching experience. During the 4 weeks, the trainees learn how to plan and teach lessons. At the end of the 4 weeks, graduates get a certificate and can use it to travel and teach wherever there is a demand for English. After I finished the course, I traveled around Thailand a bit, and I liked it so much I knew I had to stay. I returned to the village where I took the program to meet up with some of my fellow graduates. And while there, I learned there was a position open for an assistant teacher training at the center where I had trained. Since my former trainer was happy with my performance during the course, he hired me on the spot. So I briefly returned to Japan to gather up my stuff, and I went back to Thailand. To think, in just a few years, I had transformed into a completely different person. I was a freer spirit, open to new things, new ideas, and apparently now, new countries. I was set for a new adventure in Thailand. But how long would I actually stay? For that, you'll have to tune in for the next installment of Nomad before it was cool.